BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 504 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast, BRB UK 504. I am Coleman. Hi. And with me this week is Tim.
What are you 504?
504, episode 504, 504. Yes, just 504 at DFS for a new sofa. Nothing to pay for 2 years.
We're advertising sofas a bit too much recently, and sofa companies.
We love sofas. Speaking of sofas, a man who is usually reliable like an old sofa in a living room is not available today. Dan is not here. No, he is off. He's off exploring, opening new pork markets in different countries. So he's not here this week in this here episode of BRB UK. But we are.
That's
Coleman
a Liz
Tim.
Trust
Tim
reference for
Coleman.
any of our foreign listeners that don't understand. Who even Liz Truss
Don't
is
explain
now
it.
that I've explained it somewhat. But anyway, oh dear.
Who knows? Tim, how are you?
I am okay, other than my whole house being upside down because I still don't have a kitchen in my kitchen at the moment. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, other than that, okay. I also don't have hot water at the moment, which is possibly more of a problem.
That is a problem. That's a very
Yes.
big problem. I had to live through a lot of that in my teenage years. There is an issue where one of my neighbors sold up and someone bought the house and they've been renovating it since January. And I've just realized I can hear drilling in the background. So if any of that picks up on the microphone,
Good.
sorry, I'll gate it as best as I can. I'm one man. I can only do as much as I can with my technical audio wizardry. I had to learn a lot of that recently. We'll see how we go. But Tim,
Have you thought about
Let's
banging
talk
on the
about
wall
video
until it goes
games.
away?
that doesn't work. I've tried
No? Okay.
that. No. Throwing things at them doesn't work either.
Oh.
Tim, let's talk about video games. What have you been playing, good sir?
Well, I didn't get much of a chance to play this week. As I kind of mentioned on the show last week, I was away for a wedding. I kind of legged it up to Scotland and came back down. And even though, had I known that I would have spent more time on trains and one of those trains would have had no aircon on a very hot day, I might have actually bothered to take my Switch. But I was kind of, skirting with how much stuff I was taking already. So I kind of cut things down. Deliberately chose not to take my Switch with me, which was possibly a bad decision, maybe. A bit of behind-the-scenes stuff here going on as well. I was supposed to be and was very much looking forward to playing Cursed Golf this week. Sod's Law. Many, many weeks in a row beforehand, I would have had plenty of time to play Cursed Golf on whatever system you want. And then I get the review code the day before I'm going to Scotland, or the day before I think we were recording last week's episode. So we had last week's episode to record. Then I was going to Scotland the next day. I had my kitchen to sort out before I went away. So I had no chance to play, and I would have had come back, had Tabletop Tuesday, and then only had last night to play. So I was like, okay, I as much as I was looking forward to Cursed Golf, I'm going to have to give this up to Mr. Coleman or Mr. Dan so that they can review it. So Dan very kindly jumped in and took the code, and then ultimately wasn't able to make it for this week's episode. So isn't here to talk about it. So I was supposed to be like, okay, I don't want to talk about it after just one day of playing it, and Dan will get to play it for the whole week, so he'll be well informed and we can have a really good review. And then no, because he can't be here. Like, can't be helped. It's one of those things. But we will be returning to talk about more Cursed Golf next week. I'm planning on picking up. I think you might be as well, Mr. Coleman. No, was that part of your plans?
Yeah. I'm. Well, that was it. We got offered a PlayStation code, and I was adamant that I really want to play this on the Switch, especially because the developers described Cursed Golf as they wanted to make a Nintendo game that Nintendo didn't know about. You know, so I really felt this needed to be played on the Switch.
Okay.
So I was going to go for that.
that.
Dan was going to take the PlayStation code, and unfortunately, life got in the way in a kind of reverse Jurassic Park way.
Life finds a way to get in the way.
Yeah.
But
I had too many games to play this week anyway.
yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll buy Cursed Golf, and then I can play it for the one evening I could, and then I'll talk about the show. But then I forgot no, you won't buy it, Tim, because it's not available until today. It came out today.
No.
So there's no point in me buying it today. Well, I still might end up buying it today, but as you say, I might end up buying it on the Switch because I think it's particularly suitable. But I did, in the meantime, go, oh, well, I'll go and buy something else anyway. So I ended up, and this is a very roundabout way to get to the game I've been playing this week, but I did get to play a bit of Rollerdrome, and I won't talk about it too much because I got to play it last night. I've been playing on the PS5. I would say it's not necessary to play. You could quite happily probably play it on the PS4 and it would probably run just as smooth, I would imagine, although I haven't heard that for sure. But it's
Is it available on PS4?
I think so. I think it was. I could be wrong, but let me know. I think it's
yes, sorry.
I think it's PS4, PS5, and PC.
Yes,
no, I believe.
Yes,
and,
that's right.
Yeah,
you got that right.
And yeah, anyone hasn't seen it before. Rollerdrome is basically Running Man on roller skates, but with guns. Basically, by Running Man, I don't mean the dance as well. I mean the 80s action flick with Arnie, because it's very much centered
the greatest
around
film made of all time.
Oh, of course, it's very much centered around a blood sport, not to be confused with another 80s film like Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Not that one. This is more akin to Arnie's Running Man, as I alluded to earlier, where it's a future death sport type thing, although arguably people aren't dying. I think they're just getting de-rezzed and stuff like that. But you're basically skating around on roller skates rather than a skateboard, but otherwise in a Tony Hawk's-esque fashion, but while also doing those tricks which get you bullets, and you need bullets to shoot all the enemies that are trying to shoot you. You can also kind of dodge and weave, like dodging out the way at the perfect time will get you some more bullets as well. And you can kind of grind round things, but if you're kind of grinding on a rail for too long, you will get shot off it, basically. So it's a matter of kind of grinding, dodging, jumping up in the air, twisting around. And it very much feels like, especially at first when you're getting used to the controls, although it does kind of gently nudge you into this is what you do, this is how you do a wall ride, and it kind of passes things out a little bit to break that down for you. But even so, you kind of do feel like you're going in at the deep end, and it feels a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your stomach, basically. But when it all comes together and when you get used to the controls a little bit more and you get into the rhythm of what you're doing, boy, does this look and play fantastically. Like, it really does a really good job of player empowerment, like really making you feel like you are a badass roller skater that is twisting around in midair doing a 540 melancholy while shooting a couple of dudes. And that does look as cool as it sounds. As I said, it's got a bit of a difficulty curve in getting in there. It breaks things up in terms of there's like 4 initial levels that you're going through and just allows you to go on to the next level once you've unlocked a certain number of challenges. And each of those challenges are things either related to the score that you're getting in like score challenges overall for stylish kills and doing tricks and stuff. But it also kind of gives you other things to do in the environment. Some similar things from like Tony Hawk type-esque games where you're just got to do a certain trick in a certain place or pick up various tokens that are throughout the environment that you kind of have to jump up to get to and doing all those things. But then there's also particular challenges per environment. Kill a certain dude that's standing on top of a tower with an attack from above and stuff like that. And various other things that are, level dependent and things where you need to find out how to do that and go do that, basically. Some of them aren't too challenging and some of them are a little bit more challenging. The one good thing is you don't have to do them all in one run. So you can just go, right, I'm not going for the time, because time's usually one of them, like beat the level in a certain time and kill all the enemies in a certain time. But yeah, there's actually, things that you can just do. Right, I'll just go for the time run, so I'll just try and kill everyone as quickly as possible. or you can actually go in and go, okay, I need to go collect those 5 symbols now, and I'll just do that on this run. You can do multiple things on one run, but some of them don't necessarily gel well together for doing so in one run. But I think doing multiples of those things will get you a better score. And there is a little bit of replayability in general in terms of there are leaderboards and personal bests that you can get per level. Different weapons that open up as you go. I've only just got to the stage where I've opened up the grenade launcher. But yeah, all the weapons work quite differently. You have to get kind of used to the advantages and disadvantages of those weapons. And then there's some challenges in some of the levels that kind of relate to those. Like there'll be a take out a certain dude just using pistols, or take out a certain number of enemies with the shotgun, or stuff like that, basically. But for anyone that hasn't seen it in motion, it very much looks like a game that we talked about previously on the podcast, a game called Sable. So it's that kind of flat shaded kind of block color. Not quite cell shaded. It's kind of the next step on from cell shading, basically.
It's block color textures to create the illusion of 2D painting, 2D cartoon. However, it's done in such a style where it is a 3D, and it's kind of like the Borderlands look, but Borderlands isn't cell shaded. There's a different term to that. But yeah, it's very much a cell shaded type thing.
I think it's
done in such a way with kind of pastel colors.
Yeah.
Flat shading. Okay, that sounds more familiar.
And then it's got, as you say, it's not like a monochrome where it's like just black and white or anything, but it's very much a limited color palette as well, basically. So it kind of, it's got a tonal nature to it as well. It's
kind of like watercolors of what was that film in the 80s? The Heavy Metal? Is that the name of I know
of it, but I'm not that.
South Park used that for an episode.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with it. Yes, the one with Kenny and the boobs. Episode. That's all I'll say. Yeah. But yeah, it's got that very much kind of 70s, 80s cartoon look to it as well. It also reminds me of some films of that sort of era as well. I think very deliberately, like there was one with a very similar name called Rollerdrome, maybe, that they've...
Rollerball?
Maybe Rollerball, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then there was a sequel and a remake, and Paul Heyman was in an episode in one of those, and it's not great.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
And it reminds me of it actually reminds me more of like 70s movie posters than the actual films themselves, like stuff for the original Death Race and stuff like that. Like that very much like the artwork of this game and some of the promotional stuff that they did for it very much leaned into that, but the actual artwork from the game kind of lends itself to that look quite nicely as well. So if you imagine the kind of very heavily stylized 70s movie posters, this very much reminds me of that come to life, basically. I was a bit skeptical going in. Part of the reason, and we'll come on to this, we did discuss this, and I was kind of supposed to play Cult of the Lamb this week. I did go and look at it, but I was going to buy that on Switch. That had extra Switch tax on top of so it was $22.50 rather than the £20 it is for everywhere else. Yeah. So that kind of put me off, and I was like, nah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like Cult of the Lamb, and we'll come on to you persuading me more of that in a second. But Rollerdrome had a discount that was still available on the day of release, and Cult of the Lamb had an unexpected Nintendo tax, which I should have expected, but didn't. So there was something like a £6 plus price difference. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy Rollerdrome for now. Between that and also playing a bit more, and I probably won't talk about it this week, but a bit more Multiverses, because season 1 of that kind of unofficially started this week.
You can get Gremlins.
Yeah, Stripe and Black Adam. But yeah, I'm still enjoying my Iron Giant. And they also... with the first season, they had a few other characters that were unlocked, like Arya Stark and Batman and stuff, that are available for a limited time. I didn't know they were going to do that, but that's quite cool because that means that you get access to some other characters as well. Yeah,
it's very much the kind of Dota form of character rosters. You switch out the free ones.
Yeah. And I kind of like that. And that they note that they're only available for a
It
limited
works.
time, but I think that's quite good. It means you can try a few things. But yeah, coming back to Rollerdrome, I was a bit skeptical going in because even though I'd heard really high praise for it, I'd also heard that it had a pretty sharp difficulty curve. And that is true.
Right.
Once you get through the first 4 stages where it just unlocks them fairly easily from one to the next, it goes, it got to the stage and was like, no, you need to do another 11 challenges before you can unlock the next level. And I think I've brought that down having gone in and replayed a couple of levels. But you have to do a certain amount of challenges before it will unlock that. And it's almost a point of, no, go practice on these levels, get good before we unlock more stuff for you and it gets more complicated. And I don't mind them doing that a little bit. And one of the things I would say is the level layout and stuff can be a little bit disconcerting when you're not used to the level. Like when you're going around for the first time and you're jumping out of a window and there's just a cliff on the other side of it and you're like, oh, I guess I'm dead then. And it doesn't really hurt you that much. It doesn't really take that much energy off, but it does mean that you lose your combo, which affects your score and all that type of stuff. So it's actually, there is a large benefit to going in and already knowing the levels and knowing the layout of the levels. And as I said, that's when the game really starts to click and really starts to get into full gear. And when it clicks and when you're playing it, it looks, as I said, it looks fantastic, plays fantastic. And I cannot recommend it highly enough because it's one of those games where it's got a bit of a difficulty curve, but you want to break through that difficulty curve because it's so rewarding when you do, basically. So, I really enjoyed it so far.
Going back to the kind of Tony Hawk idea is that you pick up a Tony Hawk game and they're easy to pick up, but they're hard to master. But then when you want to master them because this, the game doesn't dictate that you do so, but when you do a ludicrous combo that, would be insane to retry in real life, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's the same kind of thing with Rollerdrome.
Yes, when you're jumping through the air, as I said, doing like a big spin and a grab at the same time, and then come out shooting a couple of people, and like there's some clever game design in there that helps that player empowerment. Like it's really hard to completely lose momentum, even if you dodge out of something mid-move, or even if you get shot. It's a high momentum game, and it keeps up that high momentum no matter what you do. There isn't like in a Tony Hawk's or something. There isn't like a crash fail state. You just keep on rolling basically, and there's a fairly hefty amount of auto lock in terms of locking onto enemies, and you just have to shoot at the right time, which kind of helps the shooting element as well. But it kind of needed that, and I think it's much better for it. But it's a really well-designed game around a really fun gameplay loop that works really well. So I've been really enjoying it so far. And it's one of those games where I'm like, ooh, I cannot wait to play more of this and get better at these levels and get good at this game because, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this. I really thought I'd be talking about it this week, but 5 new games for me to play this week.
Ridiculous.
Alone, so I only managed to get through 3 of them. I do have a question about the game before I start playing it. I've seen in certain reviews there's like a first-person kind of story mode, a bit kind of similar to Black Flag, Assassin's Creed, where you're going through a first person for the story mode, exploring an area.
Yeah.
Why are you doing the Rollerdrome? What is the context of that?
Basically, and you learn a lot of this not through the actual game, but through like in that initial area, the first portion you're playing, there's a kind of locker room with a note strapped to your locker and a bit of information that you find out through going through some like communications with yourself and going through other stuff about the tournament. Basically, Rollerdrome is a tournament that you pay to enter and you can win a lot of money by doing it, basically. So it's a, and I think it's something in the region of like $380,000 just to sign up, and for that they supply the weapons for you and a few other bits and bobs. And you literally find some information that tells you that you've borrowed that money and you've leveraged that against your own life insurance to borrow that money so that you can pay for the entry to the tournament. So
okay. Well, from one nerdy 80s reference to an early 80s manga reference, so it's less Running Man and more Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, it's got that kind of element to it, but it's kind of, you're not like forcibly put into there, but it sounds like economic circumstances have forced you in a slightly dystopian way into doing this future blood sport because you don't have any money, basically. So yeah,
cool.
and that story is kind of just woven in those little things and little clues that you see around the environment. But then when you are replaying that level, it gives you the option of whether you want to go look at that again or not, which again is quite a good design decision in terms of if you think you've seen it all already, you can just skip over it and go straight into the game. But yeah, there's a number of things about that game that are really, really well designed, and it's obviously a labor of love that has been well implemented, basically. So yeah, I really look forward to playing more. Might talk about it a bit more next week, but yeah, I definitely highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, you took one of the games that I wanted to talk about, but unfortunately I could not get to. Like I said, I warned about this last week. There's just too many games at the same time all coming out that I really want to play, and Rollerdrome was one of them. And do you know what? When we were talking about this last week, Rollerdrome wasn't even on the list. I forgot about it, and then I saw it and went, I need this!
Oh, it looks so good.
I'll go in the order that I've been playing these, but I started off my week with Lost in Play. And what could possibly make me gravitate towards a 2D indie game that no one's ever heard of? It's a point and click.
Oh, okay.
I love a point and click.
Do like a point and click.
So the idea of this is available on the PC, Switch, and Mac. This is a point and click title. It's done in a kind of Saturday morning cartoon, not as we'd know, 80s, 90s Saturday morning cartoons, more like kind of the modern day, your Adventure Time type looking characters.
Right.
It's the idea of following a brother and a sister on a fantastical adventure as it's their real world blended in with their imagination. And as the further you play, you go from the real world further into the imagination until you're dealing with frog kings and gnomes and goblins and all these kind of things, and it's very interesting. It's a short game. It's about 2 hours, I think it took me to complete, but I really enjoyed playing this game all the way through. Obviously, I'm not going to any kind of story spoiler stuff. I will say, however, with the game, the way it looks, the way it plays, the story and everything, I would definitely recommend this. However, I know it's a bit of an argument at the moment because this is a 2 hour game and it's a £18 game, $17.99 if you want to get technical. So if you're one of those, hey, that's not really worth my time, putting 2 hours for 18 quid, I totally see where you're coming from. However, I really enjoyed my journey in playing this game. You've got your traditional kind of point and click game, unless you're playing on the Switch and you're doing everything through thumbsticks. No touchscreen implementation. I will say play this through the PC for the mouse rather than through the Switch. However, Switch is totally fine.
Is it?
It does the... no, totally. It totally worked for me.
Okay.
Like a lot of my tube journeys got ate up playing this game. In fact, I did the entire thing over on the tube. And this game, yeah, it's fine. It does the traditional point and click kind of style gameplay, but then it mixes in puzzle type things, and that could be a game of checkers modified for the game, or it could be some kind of brain puzzle that you're not used to that you got to work out. And those are the more interesting parts about it, because you could very much look up a walkthrough and go, I'm just going to follow the walkthrough. When you get to those moments, it's not like a one-to-one comparison. I think they are randomized each time. So you kind of have to adapt on the fly for those kind of things. Yeah, that stuff really kept me on my toes. And it's not your traditional, I've got a key, I need to put the key in the lock and that will open the door. It's more a case of, okay, so I've got a feather. I can use that feather to tickle the nose of a dog to make the dog sneeze, and that will open the face of a grandfather clock nearby, and then I can take the pendulum and use that pendulum on a chicken, and that chicken will lay an egg. It's really bizarre thought process that goes in with this game. So it looks really cool. It's not so, screams at you. It does seem very much like there was a period where point and click games had almost died until Telltale kind of revived them. But there was a period where Telltale were working on their new version of the point and click before they got up to The Walking Dead, and they were doing Monkey Island and Jurassic Park and those kind of games. Strong Bad. There was a period where they were kind of trying to reinvigorate point and clicks through iPhone, iPad. Before iPad, in fact, just iPhone. So it kind of harkens back to that feeling, but it's of the games of those kind of era, it's the best made version of that I've seen.
Okay.
As well as playing on PC where you get the ability to use a mouse, which is preferable. It's a lot less frustrating using a mouse in certain puzzles in the game rather than using thumbsticks, but you do get an improved frame rate playing on PC as well. However, even though you have a lesser frame rate on the Switch, it's that cartoon style. Doesn't really matter. You're not really going to notice this unless you compare footage, PC version of the game to the Switch version of the game and go, hold on, that version's slightly faster. Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. And again, for 2 hours and for 18 quid, it seems like going in. On paper, that doesn't seem like a great deal, but I really enjoyed the experience of this game, and I would recommend it to anyone, especially if you're a fan of point and clicks that has lapsed over the years. If you were into it in the 80s or the 90s and just haven't found one to get along with, I think this might be one for you. It's really good. Lost in Play.
I have a question, Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Does it have a great draft detective?
No, that would be your game. The
Lord Winklebottom Investigates is a better point and click game. Then it lasts about twice as long and has a much longer necked detective in its lead role. So
I will give Lord Winklebottom Investigates this. That if you play on the Switch, you do get touchscreen controls, but according to reviews that I read, they're not very well implemented, and you're better off playing with a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Hey ho!
Always play with a mouse. I recommend
Secret of Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge.
LeChuck's Revenge
ever made. LeChuck's Revenge. The second game I've been playing, and it's one that you mentioned, and I heard you told me about the premise.
Yep.
Before you even said this is a game that I like the idea of, but I didn't enjoy playing the game, I'd already put down the pre-order and went, yes, I want this because it sounds amazing.
Because you don't listen to me, Mr. Coleman.
I've been told off for this before. We had Goldstein. We had him on before, and we were talking about, off mic, we were talking about the Witcher board game, and I went, oh, that's out, and just bought it. He was like, no, it's not good. And it was too late.
Yeah.
It was bought.
Already done.
And then on their podcast, they were then going, I did a podcast with these guys, and one of them bought this game. What an idiot.
I mean, he's got you banged to rights there, Coleman, so, you know.
Hey, I enjoy having that game on my shelf that I've never played. Anywho, Arcade Paradise.
Yeah.
This is available on Switch, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC for $15.99. Get that out of the way first foremost. This is a job simulator title. I will state that before anything else. This is definitely a job simulator title.
Yep.
Much like Power Wash Simulator, House Flipper, the games that I love, and I don't know why.
Tediously boring activities made into games.
Got way into them, and I don't know why. This is a game where you play
old.
a kind of... you play a teenager who is a failed student. You're a college dropout, and or a university dropout, and you live in a kind of rundown town where everyone depends on this one industry of a meat packing plant run by your father, who is a very rich and successful man. And because you are a dropout, they've gone, look, you need to stop wasting your time bumbling around, messing around in arcades. In the 90s, I think this is in the 90s, which would make sense. A lot of arcade scene in the 90s. And you must go work in one of my businesses, this one being a laundrette, which happens to be their first business. So you work in this laundrette, and they leave you a couple of voicemail messages, go put laundry into this, take laundry out of this, put it aside for this, clean up rubbish that are around the laundrette, and there you go. And then you start messaging with your sister, who previously worked in the laundrette, and where you notice there are a couple of arcade machines. And they say, hey, I bought these arcade machines, even though father did not want me to do so. And they turned out to be really good investments. They made some money, but he would not hear of it. And then you kind of build on from there. So it's a kind of balance of a job simulator where you are running a laundrette and also at the same time trying to build a secret arcade within the laundrette. Now, I put a lot of hours into this game, and I am nowhere near the highlights of what people have described in the reviews, where they say, "Hey, you're running a laundrette, and then one of the washing machines, you hit a special switch, and it opens up and turns into an arcade." Now, I've literally got a laundrette, and then the back room is an arcade. But I have put so many hours into this game; it is so addictive. I really recommend this one for fans of old arcade machines and job simulators, which I am both.
Ooh.
It's very interesting. The kind of big selling point about this is it's the arcade machines. All the arcade machines that you put in the laundrette to build your own arcade are playable. None of them are real life arcade machines. All of them are kind of royalty free.
Yeah.
We've made this inspired by this.
Not quite clones, but odes to old arcade machines is a nice way to put it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. They are definitely tributes. For instance, one of my favorites is kind of inspired by Pac-Man and GTA, but the first GTA 1 and 2, not GTA 3 onwards, where it's kind of done through a top-down perspective, but in a 3D PlayStation 1 era graphic of a Pac-Man game where you're driving around in a car collecting stacks of dollar bills instead of Pac-Man pellets. And instead of ghosts, it's police cars chasing you. And then whenever you get caught, you have the ability to then run for a new car and try again. Stuff like that's really cool to me. It's reinventing old, and it's weird because we lived through a period of this. We grew up with classic arcade games that were then made for the home entertainment system kind of consoles, be that Nintendo Entertainment System or Atari or Commodore, and then in the kind of era of PlayStation, they reimagined those games into a kind of pseudo 2D, 3D, top-down, whatever environment version of those games. And that's realized as if the era of PlayStation isn't a period where the arcade machine was beginning to die, and it just kept thriving. So those kind of the love letter to arcade machines, I really, really like. I'm at a period, the only kind of downside to it, and I think it's just because of where I am in the game. Apparently, it will take around 6 hours to complete this game. I don't think that's true, because I've put 7 hours into this game, and I'm nowhere near at the point where the reviews say.
So, I was going to say, and this might help or might take you off track, I'm not sure, but does anything you do in the arcades themselves have anything to do with unlocking more of the game, more of the... Or is it everything that you do in the laundrette that unlocks more of the arcade stuff? Or is there anything to be gained by playing the games, or are they inherently just a distraction?
So, as far as I'm understanding, the laundrette, to begin with, the laundrette you're doing to make money, then that money you can invest into the arcade, making more arcade, getting more arcade machines, building extensions to house them and decorate and all this kind of stuff. As you go on, you realize that you can make more money through the arcade than the laundrette. So then it's this kind of power balance of hiding it against your father, who doesn't want you to mess around with such silly things as arcade machines and wants you to focus purely on the laundrette. So as far as he knows, because he's away, that you are focusing all your efforts on the laundrette. The expansions are for laundrettes. These purchases of machines are washing machines and tumble dryers and things that you're buying. They aren't arcade machines. And then as you flipped it, you're making more money through the arcade than the laundrette, but you're using you've got to keep the laundrette running so they don't know that you're running an arcade.
Okay.
That seems to be the way it works so far. I don't know if that's going to flip at any point, but that's what I've been enjoying it. And it's another one of those things where even though there are voicemail messages, which happen very few times, it's one you don't need to, although I do recommend, you don't really need to listen to the music and the sounds and stuff going along. Pop in a podcast, put a job simulator on. And I'm getting way into the job simulator aspect of it. However, they have, true to form, where they've taken a load of arcade machines and reimagined them in their version. They've done the same with all the soundtrack seems to be like 80s music, but reimagined in their own way. So, and you can buy a vinyl of the I don't think it's on vinyl, but you can buy an album of all the soundtrack of the game. And that stuff's really funny and interesting in itself, because some of it's not like parody, but it sounds so much like it belongs. It works very well. It kind of reminds me of Vice City, where Vice City had songs that... they had licensed songs, but they had made-up songs as well. But it was trying to mix in with the 80s, and it worked very well. The only problem I have is, as much as I love the arcade machines, you can't just stand alone play a bunch of arcade machines, because you've got to keep the place running, and you got to make that money. You got to make that sweet cheddar.
Sorry, is there a time element to that, in terms of you've only got a certain amount of time per day, and if you're playing games, that's taken away from that time? Or
yes, you run from, I think this is right, I think you run from 8 in the morning till 11 in the evening, but minutes are seconds. So work that out.
Right.
There are more perks you can unlock along the way, where instead of getting the bus to work, you can have a car and drive into work, and therefore you'll have more time in the morning because you've got in earlier.
Okay, yeah.
There's stuff like that to lock along the way. I'm wondering if there's a point of this game where they're just going to go, okay, everything's open to you. Now you can just go mad on arcade machines and have fun, because that's the point I'm looking forward to. Because every time they set these little challenges, go like, play 10 minutes of this game and 10 minutes of this game. It's like, well, I've only got 10 minutes to play one of these games, and I've got to master it, and also juggle in doing the laundry at the same time. But yeah, I really enjoyed the arcade machine games, and I want to go back to them properly. So I'm wondering if that's going to flip at some point and just kind of make a sandbox for me.
Remind listeners, I talked about this after seeing it in preview at WASD, and I came away slightly dampened from my initial excitement, because a couple of the arcade games I play didn't impress me that much. But I did make the proviso of it was a difficult game to see in a short space of time, when it's a variety of mini games and there's another element to it as well. It was difficult to see in preview like how well that all fit together and stuff like that. Is it something where you've played a few of the arcade games now and you've played a bit of that? Does that sort of... It sounds like you're having more fun with it than I did. I think I did make the proviso at the time that it may be a game that just didn't lend itself well for me seeing a limited slice of it in a limited time, basically. But has that spun out to the point where it's enjoyable and that's not a problem for you anymore, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this from the get-go when I was just doing laundrette stuff. And I knew where it was coming, so that might be a factor into it. I'm assuming at the point where you got to play this in a demo with a vertical slice was there's so much unlocked of the laundrette already. Yes. There's so much of the arcade unlocked already. I think you need that early start, you need to tilt the balance into what you want, but also I think you need to kind of have that mindset to go, oh, I love Power Wash Simulator, I love House Flipper, I love untold amount of German simulation games. Yeah. You need to get in the mindset to like one of those to make kind of really sell you on the first element to go, oh no, I'm way into this. That stuff's really cool. I've really enjoyed it. And like, I got so into the idea of you talking about this, and I didn't even know about the laundrette aspect because you spoke about it, but it wasn't until I saw a thing later after I'd already pre-ordered it that I realized there was a hidden arcade behind a laundrette and all that kind of stuff. I think just you describing it initially, I went, yep, that's a Coleman game. And I put down for a pre-order of a physical copy before they put this up on pre-orders on the eShop. Yeah, so I have a disc copy on the PlayStation 5, which I think I may have paid more than the digital copy in retrospect. But it's really good, and I really like it. I have no regrets to this game. It's so good. Arcade Paradise. It's made for Coleman. If you're like Coleman, you will like it too. Yes. Cool. And the last one, won't go into this too much because we do have a lot to talk about. And Dan, while we were off mic, did say, I really want to talk, once I'm done with pork markets, I really want to talk about this next week. And Tim, you didn't pick it up, but I think I can sway you on this. Cult of the Lamb, which you've spoken about. You was talking about at WASD. Yes. Dan spoke about this because he was playing the demo. And I was the one person who went, not for me, out of the all the intro stuff, because it's kind of, much like Animal Crossing. It's a town builder simulator
with a cult element,
like the Tycoon games of old. I've never been into those. I kind of find them tedious and a bit annoying. However, there's been such high praise for Cult of the Lamb, and you guys really raved on it. And the more I see about it, the art direction and everything that surrounds it, I go, yeah, I'll give this a go. So Cult of the Lamb, picked it up on the PlayStation. This is available Switch, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, X and S, PC and Mac. They're £20, $19.99 unless you buy it on the Switch, an extra £2.49, $22.49 on the Switch. So initially I was going to buy this on the Switch, and then they went £2.50 extra if you get it on the Switch. Not a huge leap, I thought, and I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine. And then I waited past the reviews to see what the Switch reviews are like, and it's not a huge dip in frame rate when you look at the Switch to the PC and the PlayStation and stuff, but that technical limitation, it did look like that might be a problem for the dungeon crawling aspect of the game, and I went, okay, I'm going for the PlayStation version of this game, plus I have PlayStation credit, so I wanted to spend it. You are a lamb that is about to be sacrificed to the gods.
I am a lamb.
Yes, you are technically the sacrificial lamb. However, upon the point of sacrification, you are taken to a deity. Sacrification, you are put upon a deity who is in chains. He is called the One Who Waits. And he goes, oi, laddie lamb, you have been sacrificed. I will bring you back to life, but you must promise to worship me and find followers, devote them to me, and try help me come back until this mortal coil where I will be the one deity instead of these other deities that are left in my place that have imprisoned me. And you go, sound, I will do some of that.
Sounds like a deal.
So you get brought back to life. Exactly. You get brought back to life. You do a little dungeon crawling and you find a follower. You rescue the follower. You bring them back to your camp. You build a camp and you go, hey, I'm in charge.
Brainwash them.
we are worshipping. Yeah, we are worshipping the One Who Waits. And that's kind of the game. It's a balance of town building and simulation where you are trying to raise a cult and make them believe in this omnipotent being that is coming one day, while you're also trying to do a dungeon crawler, roguelite type game where your objective is to kill the previous gods so you can lift the chains that imprison the One Who Waits.
Yeah.
It is so good and incredibly enjoyable, and I hate to admit it because I know this will be on one of your guys' games of the years, and I think this might kind of clash with other ones, but at the moment, this is my game of the year. This is amazing. This is such a good game, and it's turned around someone who I play roguelites. I don't really, I loved Hades. I
was going to say Hades.
I got to a point when, I had enough. Dead Cells, we were talking about last week. I really got into Dead Cells. I got to a point, it's like, I've had enough. I don't need to finish this through. I really like Cult of the Lamb. It's a very enjoyable game. I liked, I always think, is the guy named Skill Up, the Australian guy?
Yes, he does very good videos and really liked this. And Rollerdrome as well, I believe, as well this week. But yeah. Yeah.
It was another podcast, Games Confessional I listened to, and they always, every time they talk about a new game, they go, well, what did Skill Up think about it? And I kind of don't want to fall into listening to one particular reviewer because you do start to emulate everything they say and have the same opinion. So I have come to
trust his reviews, and that's one I tend to go to once I've played it myself a bit, kind of thing.
I will admit, for ages, they were talking about the Skill Up, and I randomly found a video where I thought it was this guy that they were talking about, and it turned out it wasn't Skill Up, it was Beat 'em Up, who was a completely different Australian guy
different Australian,
who also reviews video games. But will definitely recommend his videos also.
Okay.
And it wasn't until someone on our show was in the Discord going, what do you think if he checked out Skill Up? And then I checked out Skill. I was like, this is the guy I was meant to follow. But the way he describes it is, he goes through this elaborate story of, I had a worshipper, they were my first worshipper, and then they started to doubt me, so I fed them poop. And then I re-educated them until they were ready to join the fold, and then I killed them in a ritual sacrifice. Then I brought them back to life, and then re-educated them again, and then I fed them poop again, and then I killed them in a ritual sacrifice again, And then this time, instead of bringing them back to life, I reanimated them as like a kind of ghoul, a spirit, that every time I would go into a level to do the dungeon crawling aspect, they would run at the first available enemy and explode. Oh, sorry, and they married them some point in between as well. And then every time they saw an enemy, they would explode until the next screen where they would do the exact same thing. And that's the kind of life I've led them into, where they're a weird exploding corpse bride, traitor, reformer again. Anyway, the point of this is you can feed your followers poop.
Yes.
And I went, yeah, I'm sold.
Yes, Miss James Stephanie Sterling was delighting in the whole poop aspect of it as well. Basically,
it's odd.
I have a question. Like, how much is sort of divided between the Animal Crossing style or animal culting, as it possibly should be, style, like village building, and then how much of it are you actually diving out and doing the exploratory?
The dungeon crawling aspect of it is not just to progress the story, but it is also because very early on you'll go, okay, I've got say 5 followers, and I will get 3 of them to worship the deity to raise energy, and also I'll send 2 out, one to go farm trees, wood, and the other to mine gold. Rock. So they'll go out and they'll start chopping down trees and digging up rock, and then before you know it, all those resources will be gone because there's nothing left until it grows back, and it will take a long time to grow back.
Takes a long time to grow.
The dungeon crawling aspect the dungeon crawling aspect then becomes, instead of just going in and finding followers, which is what I did the first time. You go, you clear a dungeon, you go to the next room, you clear a dungeon, and then once you get and you find a couple of hidden areas and stuff, and then you get through and it goes, right, here's a couple of different dungeons you can go to. Which one do you want to pick? Do you want to pick the one with wood, with rock, with food, something like that? And then with followers. And obviously I went to the followers, so I wanted a huge cult. And then before you know it, you've got way too many followers and no food and no because you farmed everything with all it's worth. So that you're then using the dungeons to then try find resources like wood, like food, like rock, like gold. You keep going through that way. But then as you go, you can start the more. That's the other part of this as well. You've got it. The followers will pray to the deity, and that the one who waits, and then you take that energy and you can plant it back into your camp to use it to unlock things like. So if one of your characters needs the toilet, they'll just go on the floor, and that will then create the other followers to become ill because they're like, ugh, poo. Yeah, exactly. Even though they're all animals. So you can use that energy to create an outhouse, and then you need resources to build the outhouse. So it's a kind of balancing act between, I need followers, I need them to do work for me. I also need follower energy to allow me to build new things, but I also need resources. And there is a point where you can buy things to farm the resources, but you need people to control those farming of the resources as well. So it's kind of, it's a fine balance of everything, and it's trying to control that. I have put God knows how many hours into this game, because if I'm not playing, the minute I started playing this, and it took me a while to tear myself away from Arcade Paradise. Yeah. So I got the 2 on the same day and went, I should be playing Cult of the Lamb, but I tried Arcade Paradise first, and I can't tear myself away from it. When I forced myself to do it, I can't tear myself away from Cult of the Lamb. It's a game. It's one of those games where I'm playing at home. I play a little bit in the morning. I go to work. I set up my key sheet. I remote play it on the tube. I have my lunch break. I'll play a bit of that at my lunch break. I'll come home. I'll play a bit more. I'll cook dinner. I'll play a bit more. I am forever playing this game. Cult of the Lamb so far is game of the year. It's without off the top of my head remembering exactly what I had in the front running for game of the year. So far, this is definitely up there. And I've got a feeling I'm going to swap it out so one of you two can have it, because I'm that confident in it that I reckon you two are going to love this game.
Oh, that is good. It's definitely on my list to pick up at some point. If it wasn't for the fact that there are multiple games out at the moment that I'm already enjoying, multiple things I'm already playing on my Switch, and then other things that are distracting me, like the games you already spoke about this week, I would have picked up already. I kind of figured that this one probably would get some, or at least be deserving of my undivided attention, and my attention is very much divided at the moment, so I might as well hold off until it's a bit cheaper. Or I don't know about you, like I kind of think at the moment there's a glut of very high quality indie games out in the last couple of weeks and
Yes,
week before and week after, but in particularly in the last couple of weeks. And the cynic in me is possibly saying that so that they can get it out for sale now, so that by the time Christmas rolls around, it will possibly be bundled in services like Game Pass and a few other things, because I don't know how long the tail needs to be to do that. But that strikes me as that might be the reason why all of these games are coming out at this point. It could just be the fact that this is a traditionally usual bear patch for AAA games, and so they kind of gravitated towards this time. So it could just be that factor. But I think, as I said, I definitely will pick up Cult of the Lamb at some point. I may just wait for a price reduction before I do, basically. But yeah.
No, I totally understand that. But I will say, like, knowing you, Tim, this is a Tim game, and I don't think you need to pick this up on the Switch because, I mean, do you play your Switch outside of the home?
No, but I do second screen a lot, and I figured this would be a good game for me, say, playing while I'm watching football.
I mean, there's definitely that. I do think, I think it's just worth it playing it. I mean, take the £2.50 cut, play it on your PlayStation, maybe podcast in one ear. But like, this is one game where, because there's no English, everything's like Animal Crossing gibberish kind of talk,
but that's why I figured it would be a good second screen game as well, no?
Yeah, but I'm not paying attention to it because of that, but I can't listen to anything or watch anything while I'm playing it because I need to focus on it because I love this game.
You need to focus on the little...
It's not like... Arcade Paradise, I'm doing two things. I've got a headphone in one, a headphone in the other, and it's absolutely fine.
But this one gets your full concentration, doesn't
even
it?
Even with Lost in Play, until the point where there's like a serious kind of cutscene to the game, I did a lot of one earphone, and because it's on Switch, you can do two different wireless earphones. So one's on my phone, one's on my Switch. I did it that way. But with when it came to playing Cult of the Lamb, I just need my full attention devoted to it because it's just that good. Don't sleep on this game. You're all listening at home. Play this game. If you're on the fence, I recommend it.
Okay. I mean,
it's a game that on paper I should not like, and I love.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're recommending a lot this week. But I'm also really interested in the game that we haven't spoken about this week that you've possibly played a bit of is Rumbleverse. That's one I'm planning on downloading and have a look at. Is that bad? Oh, quick.
No. The game that I was most... I'm going to say out of the 5 games that I had earmarked for this week, the one that I was the most excited for is Rumbleverse, and I've not touched it because I've been so excited about everything else.
Okay, so we'll come back. We'll tag that back in next week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm already busy with other stuff. But yeah, a real glut of really high quality indie games that it sounds reductive to recommend so many things at once, but they all came out at once and they all deserve some of your attention. This is a good thing for games, not a bad thing. So run out there and grab whichever one you think most suits you. And yeah, let everyone else know what they're picking up and what's topping their lists and what they prefer out of the stuff we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks as well.
Let's put it this way. I think the most divisive thing we'd have is Lost in Play. So if you eliminate that from the list and you go Arcade Paradise, Cult of the Lamb, and Rollerdrome, you are paying less than a full retail price of Gran Turismo, of Returnal, of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
And I think they are totally... you could spend under £70 and get 3 amazing games. And they're all really... And I mean, they are amazing games.
Yeah.
This
is a good problem to have.
If you're going to take away anything from this week, Cult of the Lamb is the one to go. And I understand when people go, I don't buy AAA games anymore. I just go for the indie games. Totally understand it after playing this. Right, we are going to skip the news of this week because we have run over, and I knew we would because there's a lot of games to talk about this week, and it's me and Tim talking on our own without a Dan. We're unfiltered. we can talk about whatever the hell we want, but we will talk about a little plug we like to give. If you have enjoyed this show, then maybe you want to show us support, not just for this show, but for the hardworking people at BigRedBarrel.com and the artists that we get to design our merch over at tpublic.com/stores/BRB. We have got an excellent range of t-shirts. We've got the Tabletop Tuesday t-shirts. We've got the Zangief t-shirts, which in hindsight probably wasn't a good idea to launch that just before Russia and Iraq and Russia and Ukraine.
Maybe. To be fair, that's one of the designs we're recommending. It's not actually one of our designs, but yeah, there is a difference.
Looks cool though.
It's a nice design. That's why I
love the Sonic t-shirt.
Yes.
If I wasn't nearly 40, I would be walking around that Sonic t-shirt. The Tabletop Tuesday t-shirts, Dan's face, Eating My Dust, all very good t-shirts, and especially the ones from Bleezy where they're covers of our special episodes. All them, we give money back to the artists that have been making these, and it's definitely worth picking. Well, if you want to show support, we get a bit of a kickback.
Yeah,
but they also get a kickback as well, and it's not. We're not buying a batch of t-shirts and printing them at home and selling them. There is a cost to these. A lot of it does go to the t-shirt manufacturer. Yeah. It's just cool. I mean, I don't know about you, Tim, since doing this, it's a dream of mine to go to a convention or walk down the street or something and see someone wearing a t-shirt that comes from something you've done.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
That would be amazing.
There's a nice thing to that. I don't think we're ever going to be, making retirement plans on the money that we're getting from this.
No.
But for anyone that doesn't know, we do kind of take money out of our own pockets for this to continue to exist. So it'd be nice if that balance got a little bit more in the favor of that not being the case, basically. But between components and software and fees for websites, and I pay a meetup cost fee for the meetup group and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a few costs that we bear there, and it would be nice if we can at least break even on what we're doing here. But just also another note as well, because if you're listening to this podcast on the Friday, which that's release day, so you should do, as an extra special reward just for you for today. For anyone that's going to the website on the right day, there's currently a 35% off sale on tpublic.com. I think all classic tees are $14, whatever that equates to in pounds. But everything else and everything generally on the site is 35% off. So if you're hearing this on Friday, get on that now, and you can get yourself a discount for doing so.
By Grabthar's hammer, what a savings.
You heard it from the late Sir Alan Rickman himself.
Yep.
He loves BRB. From beyond the grave, he loves BRB merch.
Because it's dull, you fool.
Isn't that Ian McKellen?
No, that was him in...
Dull, you fool.
That was, him in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Why a spoon?
Oh, I've never seen it.
Never seen it?
I've never seen it.
You must have heard that song a bajillion times.
Oh, everything I do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. My dad had that on a single.
Right.
Record.
I think half of the UK did as well. So
I'm gonna see if I can liberate that from. I remember going through his record collection and finding that one single. I was like, "What the hell is this?" He's like, "Oh, that's your mum's." Yeah, right, Dad.
Yeah.
Anywho, Tuesday is a Tuesday, as Dan likes to say, and as Tim likes to say. Let's talk about Tabletop Tuesday, Tim.
For anyone that doesn't know, each and every Tuesday we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Each and every Tuesday we have a different feature game, usually a board or a card game. And if you play that feature game that evening, you have a chance of winning a copy of the game at the end of the evening. This week is extra special. Not only do we have an extra special guest who is showing off a prototype version of a game called Magnificent Bar Stars. I'm being quite careful about how I pronounce that. But it is a game. It is a game about mixing cocktails, which for a video game themed cocktail bar with a board game event is entirely perfect. So we're having those guys come along. You can exclusively win a prototype version of the game, which won't generally be available to buy or get anywhere else. So it's a really nice, interesting prize. We're also coming up with a drink for the evening, as it is a game about making drinks. So there will be an extra special cocktail on the evening as well that you can get for an extra special price for that evening only. So that is really special in itself.
How Gucci.
I also, and I won't reveal it just yet, but we will be unveiling another exclusive little surprise at that event, which I will have more details on next week's show, and we'll be doing the competition for next week. But I'm leaving that just for now because I'm just awaiting full details, so I don't have them to give out on the podcast. You may see them on the website ahead of time if we get them in time for me to do so. But there is an extra special surprise on top of everything that I just mentioned. And that was already an extra special week. So it's a really good week to come along. And you can play a game and win a game that you can't get anywhere else in the world at the moment just by doing so. So that is Magnificent Bastards is our guest for next week. If you need more details, there are more details on the top left-hand corner of BigRedBarrel.com, or you can search our meetup group, which is Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com, and you can join over 2,000 members, which have now joined our meetup group and come along there. And you get virtually the same details in both places, so you can go to one or t'other. But yeah, come and join us in 129 Stoke Newington Road next Tuesday and every Tuesday thereafter, apart from a couple near Christmas. But it's been really fun the last couple of weeks, so come join us for a Tabletop Tuesday. It should be a good evening.
Tabletop Tuesday, every Tuesday, over at the Loading Bar in Stoke Newington. Jackie Chan. Thank you. Love your kung fu and singing. Anyway, we have folks that have been in contact with us, and we've got a fair few this week, so we'll try to burn through them as quick as we can, but not so much as we're going to start neglecting the time and effort that should be put into responses. For those people that have asked, I have a question. These are folks that have gone over to BigRedBarrel.com. They've gone to our comment section. They've gone to our Discord, which is available. There is a link available in BigRedBarrel.com over on the right side, I believe. Ooh. Tabletop Tuesday to the left, Discord to the right.
Stuck in the middle with
Facebook,
Coleman.
Big Red Barrel. We have a Twitter, Big Red Barrel also. We have a YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV, although I think I figured out how to change it finally. It's going to be Big Red Barrel next week. You mark my words. If I can get past this one level of encryption that some has set up in front of me and I don't know who's done it. Oh, this site is a weird mess. Rubik's Cube of complications and back-end security and God knows what. And we don't know who did what, but we'll figure it out eventually. Yes, these people have been in contact and they've asked us questions. Much like, and we got two from the same person to begin with. It's me, Andy Baines. He says, is it Tim's hardware that's lagging during the podcast or Tim himself?
Both.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep, I think that's fair.
I think the lag is the hardware.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think the lag is the hardware. The ers and the basicallys is Tim.
That's all me, baby. Actually,
mental lag.
No. Some of the lag is just me. Like if there was no lag on the line, I'd still be lagging occasionally because I'm stupid. But also, at the moment I'm having to use a very old laptop. I can't quite afford to buy a new home computer or laptop. I'm saving up for a new laptop that's very expensive and I need it to do that so I can do work stuff on it as well. But that should also then future-proof me for a while going forward. I did try switching to my girlfriend's laptop for a bit, but that had similar issues. We think we've narrowed it down, so I'm hopeful that upgrading to a new computer will circumnavigate that problem. We shall see.
Basically, for ages we thought Tim had a terrible internet connection until he did a test report and it turns out he's got the exact same line speed as me.
Yeah.
So it might be 4 gig of RAM or something that's still in it.
I think it's 8 gig, but still think that's not quite enough, basically.
8 gig? Might just be the router. We should look into this Alf microphone.
Someone
also,
else
it's me, Andy Baines. He says, how old is Coleman? I thought we were pretty much the same age after many things you've said, but your statement of growing up with a Transformers generation either side of you has made me doubt that. Well, didn't I grow out of cartoons as early as you did? I'm 38. I literally, as I started primary school, as
Right.
I call it these days. As I started primary school, literally, I think there was Transformers for a couple of months, and then they were gone.
I
and
think
was
they've
all
called
about
it primary
turtles.
school for at least 40 years, Coleman, because it was primary school. when I was
We
in
called
school.
it infant school.
That's because you were
I think I'm
strange
just from
and
an old school
infantile.
town.
Yeah.
I'm from the Stranger Things neighborhood, basically.
Right.
but in
Okay,
England.
that explains it then. The Mind
Yeah.
Flayer did that to you, and that's why
Back
you
when
lost
I
all
had-
your hair.
When I was missing all my teeth and my hair. But yeah, Transformers, they were just on the way out as I started school, and then it was all about all about Turtles, and Batman lasted for a long time as well. Still so much now.
Batman's
So, there you go.
everlasting, or well,
38.
since 40s or 50s or whenever it was created. But yeah. But yeah,
Exactly. Now, don't use my age against me. Parkinson's, he says. I'm assuming I said that right. It's a dodgy name. First time posting, long time listener, in brackets. Always wanted to say that. Any regrets
Nice.
upgrading your PlayStation Plus subscription? Been on the fence as the New Zealand version has limited games still.
Ooh.
Wanting old school Ratchet and Clank, but I'm keen for some Red Dead Redemption 2 before it is off the service. I'll let you go first, Tim.
Okay. I mean, I was a bit tempted because I don't know if you saw, but Rollerdrome had a limited time demo available if you were on the premium level, but not to the extra level. And it's the first time I was like, oh, that was something I wouldn't mind trying, because I wouldn't mind trying it first, because as I said, I was a bit apprehensive going in because I wasn't entirely sure that I'd definitely get on with it. I'm kind of glad I bought it now, and because it just launched me in at the deep end, and I didn't just do the first hour, which may have almost been more off-putting than being able to just get the game and get on with it. But generally, like, the only reason I was going to do that was like, it was £2.66 more to upgrade, but I'm like, if that's the only thing, then I don't really see a problem with it. For me, I upgraded, and for the money I upgraded, it gave me access to Stray and Returnal, which were two games that I was looking forward to. It does give me access to Red Dead Redemption 2 and a few other things if I get time to do so. I may make the full decision in a month or so when I get that, but I think I'm going to stay with my extra subscription and not go for the premium one for now. That seems to be a good point for me in terms of what I want to get access to. And it also does mean that I can continue to access, because this is the slight problem, continue to access those two games in the future. Although, as you say, it's a bit difficult to know what could and could not be removed from the service. I'm guessing the first-party Sony stuff like Returnal is more likely to stay on the service for a longer period of time.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine that. I don't regret it in the fact that, so what I do is I don't just outright buy a year's worth of PlayStation Plus. I'll look for an offer, and then I'll
Right.
try buy it. It might be externally, it might be from
Yeah.
PlayStation, whatever, and I'll try to stock up on it. It just so happened that I was at a period where that had run out, and I was
Yeah.
paying month to month.
Right.
So if I carried on month to month, it would have cost me £22 extra, I think, if I didn't upgrade. So I
Yeah.
upgraded to the premium. Just, there was an offer for the end of the year. I thought, why the hell not? I'll just go for I'll just go for it and have that. So it's cool. I'm basically paying half the money that I would if I carried on going month to month. However, and I'll throw in another question just to kind of add to this. Stingo!
Stingo!
Sorry, Tim, you do it?
Stingo!
There you go. He says, have you tried PlayStation Plus Premium's streaming feature? If so, what do you think? In brackets, guessing that is a Dan question since IRRC. He's basically assuming that he's the only premium member. I looked this
Right,
up earlier and
okay.
I've completely forgotten what it was.
Yeah, I've forgotten what that
We're
is.
old, okay?
Yeah.
Dan
Don't speak in
definitely
whole
wouldn't know
words.
this. He's like 100. Exactly. Also, if you tried it on PC. Stingo, I am a PlayStation Plus premium subscriber.
Yeah,
as
he
I just
he
mentioned.
upgraded.
I have tried the.
All posh like.
Yeah, I've mentioned I tried the streaming feature. Now, to put it in context, I am a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber.
Yeah.
And every time I play it on the Wi-Fi, it's shockingly bad. Awful. Absolutely terrible. The only way I can actually play the Game Pass streaming stuff is to use my phone and do it on a 5G connection, which luckily I have unlimited data, so that's fine. That's the reason I upgraded to this phone and got the Kishi and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With PlayStation, I have absolutely no problem whatsoever. There is a little bit of kind of bittiness to it, but not so much that it would annoy me. I've played through The Puppeteer. I've played through Tokyo Jungle, which are two games that I've wanted to play for so long. But at the period they came out, the PS4 was out or on the way out, and the Vita was a big thing. And I really thought that Tokyo Jungle would come to the Vita and never did.
Did you have fun with pregnant Pomeranians?
Yes. Being a pack of Pomeranians running through the streets of Tokyo and just mashing up people, that's really cool. And it kind of, you know, it made me a little bit nostalgic for the times where I was in Spain watching roving wild dogs in the streets at night, just in a weird pack of, well, no, that's a weird thing. Because you forget when you live in the UK and you're like, yeah, dogs, they look after dogs. Cats, they look after cats. You might have strays, but they look after them. And then you go to somewhere like Spain, and then at nighttime you will see like a pack of, and there'll be an Alsatian with a German Shepherd and a Border Collie, and then there's like a Chihuahua running behind them, and they're a pack of dogs, but they're domesticated dogs that have been let out, and that's it now. That's their life.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of that. It was interesting. I would say it's the better version of streaming, in my opinion, just from my home internet. I don't know if I have a router problem or what, because I have the same internet setup as Tim, same line speed and everything. We've checked all this out before, but yeah, the PlayStation seems to perform better for streaming in general.
Most people seem to report the reverse of that, though. No, but yeah,
really,
yeah,
okay. I haven't tried it on PC. I'm going to give that a go and get back. And also, I need to try the official PlayStation mobile app, because I use PS Play, which I've mentioned many times. I've given so many plugs on this show, because to use the PS Play, the PlayStation remote app on your phone, you have to have a DualSense or a DualShock connected. And I like using my Razer Kishi, which isn't a whole new controller. It connects to your phone. It's really cool. It's got egg, it's got tomato, it's got cheese. Everyone loves a bit of quiche.
I wonder if they're changing that with the Backbone thing that just came out, though.
That's what I'm thinking, because they now support the Backbone, but only on iPhone.
Yeah, only on iPhone so far.
I'm wondering if they've updated to allow for third-party controllers. If that's the case, then
or that might not count as third-party.
V2 arriving tomorrow. I don't know. We'll find out. I really like the look of the new Backbone, how they've made it look like a DualSense.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's only iPhone. And
if it comes to Android, I might get one, but I'm about to upgrade my phone and might get the S22 Plus, in which case that might be too big for it. I'm not sure. Have to see.
I don't think that's too big for it. I think the Pixel 6 Pro and the S22 Ultra is too big for it.
Right.
And because I've got the Pixel Pro and it fits in a Kishi, but you have to take all the rubber grips out of it and just put it in as is.
Right.
And it works that way.
Okay.
I've gone for the V2 now. Once that arrives, I'll let you know how that fits, but apparently that's meant to fit a lot better.
Ooh.
So we'll see. But yeah, I love the look of the Kishi. Unfortunately, it's just placed it. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about PlayStation Plus Premium.
Yes.
Last one.
Yep.
Oh, no, sorry, two.
Two more.
Oz Fat Boy. Yep, Oz Fat Boy. When did Sony stop making text big enough to read in games, or at least offer accessibility mode to increase text size? I thought they started that again in the mid PlayStation 4 era, and I thought they were kind of carrying that on, because I know with first party stuff especially, there's a kind of a conscious going forward with PlayStation games, first party PlayStation games like Last of Us 2 onwards, Ratchet and Clank, that there's a lot of accessibility options added to that, be the font increase. I mean, the Blind Gamer, if you watch the Blind Gamer, he managed to complete The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
Which is impressive in itself. So I don't know where that stopped. I didn't know that had stopped. But I thought that was something that was being worked on and improved. And if that's a case where you have...
Just, I was going to say, as I understand it, though, I don't think that's a system level thing. I think that's just a game-by-game basis. And like you say, like certain games may have it in.
first party.
But it's one of those things where I don't think you can just go, that happens at the system level and will change the size of your font, because I think there's too many times in game where you will have to go and make adjustments for how and where the font appears depending on the size. And that does actually take a bit of work and a bit of double checking and probably a bit of correcting to any problems that do arise. Just from having dealt with fonts and dealing with stuff like that, like, I can only imagine in a game, even if you've written a fairly comprehensive bit of code and scripting to deal with that, it's still a complicated problem where things are likely to go wrong. So I think that's something where it would be very hard to completely bake that in at the system level and override the settings in a game. You need to be doing that per game, and the way that is implemented will be different from game to game depending on the amount of text that you have to do that with as well. So it's a slightly complicated thing, I think, is part of the problem there, basically.
So Sam Ronan, he jumped in to talk about the issue of UIs and stuff since the advent of HD gaming, which I know something is before I was on the show, but you guys used to complain about when you jump to, I remember Dan complaining about this, you jump to a new system, don't necessarily have a new HD screen, but all the text is so hard to read because it's on an SD screen and they've shrunk it all down with the idea of bigger screen, bigger text. Sam Ronan, he put on his example was Final Fantasy 15, I think that's 15, on 14 on 4K on PC.
XIV,
Which, it looks small, but again, he's talking about Oz Fatboy's talking about the PlayStation. So when did Sony do this? I thought, as far as I was aware, Sony are making an effort, and so Xbox, Microsoft in their first party titles. And you're talking about it's game by game basis. I thought they were making a concerted effort to allow for these kind of things, to make these kind of things a more uniform standard, because they should be. However, when we're being thrown at things like Square Enix or Ubisoft or EA, that's down to that publisher, that studio. So I don't know. I'd need to see an example. I
think it's, and as I said, maybe take with a pinch of salt, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a very difficult thing to do at system level, not just because if you think about it, like, if you're a small developer and you have to just do the work just for, and I'll say this deliberately, and this will give you a clue where I'm going with the rest of it, just for English subtitles and the size of the subtitles and stuff. If you have to make adjustments just for the English, that's quite difficult. If you're trying to do that for multiple different languages, some of which, like you couldn't Google Translate to find out if those things are all part of one word. Like, it's a much more difficult thing to do. That becomes a then very difficult thing that you need to get a person with a knowledge of that language to double check for you, and that becomes an increasingly difficult thing to do if you're a smaller developer, basically.
Oh no, I am agreeing with you, Tim. I'm saying that as far as I'm aware, for first party, because I get it is a title by title base, you can't do a system wide thing, but for first party titles, for PlayStation, Sony titles, I thought, as far as I'm aware, since Last of Us Part 2 is the earliest recollection I can think of it, they have been making a concerted effort to allow for these features with increasing text size and what have you. And I've seen it on previous games, but that's like the one I can remember them making a big deal about it. So I assumed first party, that's what they're doing. For other companies, that's down to them. And if you do have a problem with it, then tweet out to them. Not aggressively, obviously, but, could we have this? Could we have that? The more they hear, the more they're going to do, I guess, And otherwise, if they don't, vote with your wallet. Last one. Interesting question, because I think I am going to fare the worst in this. Quaxi says, I have a question. In these three genres, who would be first and last out of you three gentlemen? The genres are as follows: first-person shooter, racing, and football.
As in, who would be first and last if we were playing these competitively against each other? Is that the nature of the question?
I would assume so. Right. We can assume we did a bracket and who won and who came second and last.
I would say most likely Coleman, as he's a bit younger, would probably win in a first-person shooter, unless it's Destiny, in which case Dan would kick both of our asses. I think that's fair in that one.
Auto-aiming.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if we were playing cross-platform, the two of you would probably kick my ass at first-person shooter, because you can do the mouse and WASD thing, and I'd be all console only. So, yeah, that gives me a disadvantage on that one. Racing kind of depends. If it's a racing game where you need to drive very carefully and very boringly, then I think Dan will win. Whereas if it's a game where you need to crash with style, I think I have the better chance. And if it's somewhere in between, then Coleman is there. So it very much depends on the racing game on that one. On football, I haven't played many. I deliberately haven't played football games for the last couple of years. Anyone that doesn't know, I deliberately stopped myself from playing Football Manager because as much as I love that game, you don't want to hear a podcast where I just talk about Football Manager every week. And there's a very real possibility of that happening for 6 months or more of the year if I continue to play Football Manager. So that's kind of off the menu. Also, I've stopped playing FIFA because I don't like their business practices and I don't like supporting their business model.
I think it's called EA Football Super Happy Fun Time Club.
FIFA Ultimate Team Gambling Machine, I think is the full title.
That too.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, so I am a little bit more out of practice, but I would like to say that my years of experience with football games would probably help me come out on top on the football games versus Mr. Coleman and Dan, probably.
I've got this easier. I know exactly the answer. Football, Tim.
Yep.
Football, Dan in second, me in last, last. Because even when I try and I study and I learn, I'm still terrible. I'm the worst at football games. Racing, if it is a serious sim type racer, it's Dan.
Yep.
If it's an arcadey racer, toss up between me and Tim. If it's a kart racer, definitely Tim.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
First-person shooter, I only started playing first-person shooters in like 2019, so definitely Dan. I reckon I'd beat you, Tim.
Yes, I reckon you would, but partly through age.
Better reaction times.
Yes.
Well, you got that lag as well.
Yeah, you can turn your head faster because you're more aerodynamic as well. So,
well, look, give it 2 years. Once the COVID brain fog and Alzheimer's type symptoms start kicking in on me, then you'll quit in, mate. You can kick my ass all the time.
Well, look, you're still the other side of the hill. When you join me on this side of the hill, it'll get probably a bit better. I mean, you're already wanting to just work away at your laundrette and just get on with your quiet life. So maybe that's a sign that you're getting old.
Can we just do some multiplayer Steam Power Wash Simulator? We could do that.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah,
like
that's in multiplayer. That'd be fun.
Old chaps.
All right, we have gone way over, so I have to wrap us up, and I will do that by first saying, hey, if you've enjoyed this show, thank you very much for listening. I did give you a bunch of links earlier, but I'll say them once again. You can go to bigredbarrel.com where we have a website. Also, there we have a link to our Discord. We have a Facebook on facebook.com/bigredbarrel. We have a Twitter @bigredbarrel, and we have a YouTube. At this moment, it is Big Red Barrel TV. Also, there will be links available to all those different subject to change. Card is subject to change. Maybe a CEO, CFO decided to do some naughtiness and take some money that he shouldn't have and funnel it into some hush money. And maybe that was a thing that happened.
That didn't happen to Big Red Barrel, just to make it clear. That was a WWE reference, maybe.
That's a good way to ruin your childhood fun that's lasted you well into your late 30s.
It's okay.
Cheers,
AEW's good
VKM.
now. That's fine. You can do that.
I love AEW.
All of my friends that are into wrestling really like AEW these days. Yeah, that's where it's at.
We jumped ship a while ago.
Yeah.
All those links are available, or will be at Clash of the Castle in like a couple of weeks.
I've no idea what that is.
I'll be at that WWE. It's the first mainline pay-per-view in the UK since 1992 at Wembley.
Oh, for WWE? Since SummerSlam?
Yes.
See, I know my WWF history as it used to be before those
I remember
pesky
Ultimate
pandas
Warrior.
got involved.
Yeah, I'll be in Cardiff watching that.
Nice.
Good. I'm very excited, even though I've well fallen out of love with the product. So yes, all those links will be available in the show notes. You can find those show notes whatever listening device you are using to listen to this here episode. Scroll down, show notes available. Also there, we do chapters for all the sections we've been talking about. Really handle if someone's waffling about wrestling or really handle in case someone is chatting about chargers for their massive Steam Deck.
I will also mention, because I keep on forgetting to mention, but we are doing increasingly well on YouTube at the moment as well. So in true YouTube fashion, please smash that like button and subscribe to us and write comments and say hello and do all that stuff, please. Do all the things that
don't do it. Tim will turn No, Tim will turn into an influencer. He'll dye his hair a weird colour.
In the keeping with a cult of the lamb this week, please join the cult of YouTube and do the whole YouTube followers thing of, getting brainwashed into smashing that like button, please. Do that. Thanks.
Hey guys, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell.
Ring that
so
bell.
You get notified about all our new episodes.
All right.
Different podcast.
Do the like button. If you want to do the bell thing, do the bell thing. But in my advice, don't do the bell thing. The bell thing is bad. You don't want to be told when there's new videos. I want to go to YouTube when I want new videos, and then I'll find the new videos. That's what I'm saying.
I know I've been trying to wrap this up, but I'm going to educate you here, Tim.
Yeah.
So YouTube, even though you subscribe to a channel, they might not put the episodes from that channel in your feed.
I know, because they're birds.
Yeah. So if you ring the bell, it will tell you when that episode has come up, because I have cases where I'm watching someone and it's not I've stopped watching them, so they've just gone, they don't like them, take them out their feed. All of a sudden, they just disappear from your feed. They just stop coming out. And then I'll see it shared on Twitter or something and go, I haven't seen that one. And look at my thing. Go, why have they disappeared? I love Wolf Den. Why has Wolf Den's videos stopped appearing? So, and that happens with us as well. A lot.
Yes. So maybe do that. I'm just saying, I personally don't like all the reminders that pop up and everything. But, hey.
Well, that's because you're old.
Yeah. I like my TV to
Get
be
on your
there
TikTok, old
when
man.
I want it. Not when it tells me to be there. Old man shouts at
let's
cloud.
wrap up.
Yeah.
This has, yes, from Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
This has been episode BRB UK of 504.
Ooh.
Hopefully Dan is, I don't know why I'm doing the extended things. Hopefully Dan is back next week once he has finished looking at pork markets. But until then, dear listeners, thank you very much for listening. I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim. And Dan might not have been
here. And I
here.
have also... And Dan might not have been here, and I have also been Chaos. Fancy that.
You surprise me with this revelation.
Yes. Thank you, listeners. Until next time, and goodbye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
Unfortunately, apparently the best way to play this is couch fighting, local...
Couch
fighting.
Couch fighting.
Hit each other with couches.
It's like an extreme pillow fighting.